All right, welcome back to the We Not I podcast. Today, I've been looking forward to this conversation for a long time. We connected about a year ago. Louis Chaix, how you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for having me. It's been a long ride, and I'm super excited to be here today. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's awesome. You're you're rollerblading across the country this
Yeah,
year, um, and we'll definitely get into that. But rollerblading across the country since I've been following you, you've gotten sponsored by Tom Brady's TB12 Sports, First Fo- First Form, Andy Frisella's company. You're a barstool athlete, and we've got a lot to talk about your 10 for 10 campaign, and your story, what you're raising awareness for, and dude, you get to rollerblade across country. There's gonna be a lot
yeah.
a lot of good stuff in this podcast.
It's been a crazy journey. Being fortunate to connect with a lot of people all around, and I'm fortunate to be working with TB12. I'm still working on being with First Form. I'm trying really
Okay.
hard, knocking on their door every day and doing what I need to do because I really feel like their company really aligns with my mission. Other than that, I'm working with Roan, the clothing brand. I don't know
Yeah.
if you've ever had any of their clothes, but pretty.
Yeah,
It's
they do golf stuff too, right?
yeah. Dude, their clothes are amazing. Their workout stuff is great. And and also here in Springfield, there's this place called Downtown Health Bar, and it's really cool. They made a drink after 10 for 10, and they donate the profits towards helping me prepare for this journey. So
Yeah, that's
it's been pretty sweet. Yeah, lots of love and support all around.
that's awesome. So if you want to just kind of fill people in, you're from France, right? And now you're
Yeah.
in Springfield, Missouri, playing hockey there. You
Mhm.
want to give us a little backstory about kind of what brought you over here?
All right. So I'm from France. I was born in Paris in 1997. I'm 24. And I started playing hockey when I was 4 years old in a very small town called Poitiers. I rapidly had to stop playing because I got sick with the disease Toxic Epidermal Necrolysis, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And then I was miraculously survived this disease and got back on my skates. When I was 11, I moved cities to the west coast of France. My family was 3 or 4 hours away, just so I could join a better hockey program. And then 2 or 3 years later, when I was 14, I moved on my own to Canada to play high school hockey there. Played 2 years in Quebec City, and then I started playing junior hockey in Toronto. Then I went to El Paso, Texas, Boston. I played 2 years of college hockey in Boston, and I transferred at Missouri State last year. So it's been a crazy ride.
Yeah, there's a lot there. I mean, for one, moving to America by yourself to play hockey has got to come with a lot of emotions along with that, like leaving your family and going after your dreams, but also a lot of isolation and new changes. I'm sure.
Yeah, it's
Was
been
that how's that adjustment?
so as hard as it's been at times and as crazy as it got, I never had an idea to stop and go home. Obviously I'm very close to my family and I really miss them, but it was always so clear in my mind that I wanted to do this, and being able to be here and have this opportunity was just something I couldn't pass up. And I'm also thankful that my family was behind me along the way and helped me do all this stuff. They always told me that the biggest proof of love they had for me was to help me and believe in me and to do the things I wanted to do in life. So if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here today. But it was a bit of adaptation. I mean, I'm used to being on my own. I've been on my own since I was 11.
Hmm.
So now it's as you're growing up, it's true. You don't have your parents behind you at night when you come home when you're 14, 15 years old telling you to do your homework or do your laundry. And so yeah,
Yeah,
sometimes it gets tough, but it also makes you realize that when things are tough and you're far from your family, like it kind of sucks because at the end of the day, you can't go up to your parents and be like, "Hey, I need to talk," or "What do you think I should do?" Because with the time
mhm,
difference, when it was nighttime for
huh,
me, they were asleep or like so.
right.
But it makes you appreciate the time you get with them in the end. So
Hmm.
it's always good to be able to go home and spend time with them. Makes it really special.
Yeah, that's nice. Is there like, I mean, I'm sure we'll get into more of the things that kind of help your mental health now and everything, but is there anything that you can point to immediately off the bat where, like, if your parents aren't there to talk to, or what are some of the things that you find useful to get you through those kind of situations where you're at night and not feeling so great?
Yeah. I'm a very positive person just because I was so close to losing my life that I'm always on the go. I'm like, okay, you need to go. You need to enjoy your day. You need to literally live every single second. And yeah, sometimes, you get in bed at night and I don't sleep really well. Like it's really bad
Hmm.
actually. And your thoughts are racing and this and that. And I guess when it gets hard for me sometimes, I just sit there and I'm like, okay, hey, like I always say that breathe, just breathe.
Hmm.
And once I do that, I'm like, all right, well, think about the things you're grateful for, and always turns back to my family and look at what you accomplished. I often have a hard time getting giving credit to myself for the things I've done,
Hmm.
and sometimes I guess being able to tell myself to sit down and really focus on those things and the positive things and the accomplishments I've had sometimes helps me being like, okay, you're fine, relax. And I wake up in the morning and I always do this. One of my mental coaches for hockey taught me this. And he was like, hey, when you wake up in the morning, tell yourself that today is going to be better than yesterday every morning. So when I wake
Wow,
up,
I like that.
I always tell myself today is going to be better than yesterday. I also have a weird little superstition. I always put my right foot on the floor first when I wake up.
Bro.
Then, because if you put your left one down, it's bad luck. You're going to have a shitty day.
Huh.
So
Yeah, and I guess it forces you to think about it, and immediately you're like conscious of it in the morning.
But yeah, and then I journal a lot. I haven't been consistent in the past month because sometimes life happens and it's tough
Hmm.
to maintain certain things. But at the end of the day, sometimes I can't express certain things vocally, so it's good for me to just sit down and just write. And it's something I enjoy, and it helps me just get it out of my head. It's on paper, and I can close my journal and go about my day.
Yeah, that's awesome. I really like kind of that. It's almost easier said than done sometimes, or I forget about it a lot myself. Of like, I've been through way harder things than the stuff I'm going through right now. So to just breathe and remember, you've been through worse, and uh, those hard experiences that we've both have been through, like, they strengthen you, and you can pull from them.
Yeah, for sure. And there's so much strength in that. And it's so easy to get caught up in the everyday stuff, like 2022 for me hasn't started the way I was hoping for it to start. It's been an absolute mess.
Mm.
Uh, but sometimes I'm like, when you're at the bottom of the bottom, all you can do is just embrace it because once you reach the bottom, you can't go down anymore. So, it's you just gotta keep
Yeah.
showing up and eventually things fall back into place. And once you're away from that shitty situation, you're like, why did I get myself so upset?
Mhm.
So just I guess
Yeah.
focusing your energy on the right stuff is really important.
Yeah, it's all perspective too. Somebody's always got a worse 2022, or whatever is going on.
But easier said than done, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
But it's good to remind ourselves that sometimes, I think.
nice, man. Well, yeah, like I said, I'm gonna try to pull this little video up, but your story is pretty incredible. Of you know, your 10 for 10 and what you're doing. Sorry, let's see.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Um, And I just want to play this quick little 60-second video so people can kind of get a little backstory of what you're doing and the foundation. And then we can talk a little bit more about your experience there.
Of an extremely rare skin disease, who had me a survivor. Of an extremely rare skin disease, who had me burning from inside out. I am resilient. As I looked at death in the eyes and told her my time had not come yet. I am here to take action and be a part of something greater than myself. It is time for me to make a difference in the world around me. I am here to give hope and use my story to inspire people around me, one stride at a time. I am Louis Chaix, and I am 10 for 10, as I'm going to rollerblade from Los Angeles to New York in order to raise awareness and funds for research for the Stephen Johnson syndrome and toxic epidermal necrolysis. But I have one question for you. Are you with me? Are you 10 for 10?
Love it, man.
Appreciate
that was an
that,
incredible video.
Thank you. My buddy Mike, he helped me out a lot. I met him through this whole journey, and yeah, he helped me. I told him my whole story, and then we put some together for people to kind of get a part of it and understand what we're doing here.
Yeah. So how did the idea come to rollerblade across country and raise awareness for what you went through?
Yeah. So my buddy Alex Rubin, I played with him when I was in Texas. We played hockey together, and he was playing here at Missouri State. And when I transferred here, I resigned from my previous school. I was playing up in Massachusetts, and he was like, "Hey, man, like I know you're looking for a team. You should come play with us." And I was like, "All right, sounds good. You know, we're good friends. The program seems cool." So I just transferred here. Didn't visit the school. Didn't visit the rink. Didn't even visit my apartment I signed a lease for. And I grabbed my car when I flew back from France after being stuck there from COVID. And I drove 23 hours down here and just moved in and got it all started. And then as I was getting settled in, my buddy Alex was like, "Hey, like, here's an extra pair of rollerblades. Me and the guys, we like to rollerblade around campus." So we would go almost every day for like 30 minutes, whatever. And then I was like, "Hey, like, this is pretty sick." Like, he reminded me of the Mighty Ducks. And every day I would go for like, an hour and a half, and I would just do like 5-10 miles every day. And one day I was rollerblading with my roommate Garrett, and I was like, "Dude, like, have you heard about these two hockey players in Michigan? They rollerbladed across the state for breast cancer." And I was like, "Can you imagine if you rollerbladed across the states, how crazy it would be?" And I was like, "Damn, that sounds like a great idea." But I just wanted to see what he would think, what his response would be. He'd be like, "Oh yeah, that'd be crazy," but like, "Oh my God, that'd be so long," whatever. And then I just kept thinking about it for our whole rollerblade ride, and I'm like, okay. And I got home and I'm in the shower, and I'm like, "Dude, you need to do this." Like, there's something telling me like, "Hey, you need to do this." But I was like, if I'm gonna do it, I'm not just gonna do it to be like, "Hey, look at me, I'm rollerblading across the states." I had to put a reason behind it. And earlier when I said I don't give myself enough credit sometimes, then I was like, well, hello, you survived a really rare skin disease when you were young. Why don't you get involved, and why don't you give back, and why don't you get answers for yourself? And I hadn't spoken to any specialist ever since I got sick. It had been like 17 years, and I didn't speak to any doctors or anybody who even had the disease. I didn't know anyone. And I was like, I'm going to do this. And at first I was very scared to share it with people around me, because I was like, they're not going to take it seriously. They're going to think I'm crazy. They're going to tell me no. And then I try to get in touch with the Stephen Johnson Foundation, because for this disease, there's two branches of it. There's the Stephen Johnson syndrome and toxic epidermal necrolysis. Stephen Johnson syndrome is when your body is affected from 1 to 20%. And toxic epidermal necrolysis, which I had, was 20% and over. So I was burnt to the second degree on over 80% of my body surface, while my organs were burning at the same time. And I reached out to the Stephen Johnson Foundation, and I told them what I wanted to do. And they were like, "Okay, this is amazing." But the thing was, it took me 3 weeks before I could get a hold of them. So I was calling them every day, and I wasn't getting an answer. And one day I'm like, okay, this is the last time I'm going to try to call. And if it doesn't work out, if nobody answers the phone, maybe it's not the right time for me to do it. So I'm walking to class, and I'm like kind of nervous calling. I'm like, I was sure that it was the last time I was calling. I call and somebody answers, and I'm like, oh my God, no way they answered. So it was the very first time I was speaking to somebody about the disease and how I had been affected and all that. And eventually, this lady put me in touch with Dr. Phillips, who is one of the biggest researchers for this condition at Vanderbilt University. And she's known worldwide for what she does. She's amazing. And she really supported me in my idea along the way. She listened to my story, and then we stayed in touch. And then it started to grow and to grow. And I was invited on one of my friends' podcasts a couple of weeks after that. My best friend Dan, who's my trainer for this journey, and I shared we were talking about fitness and just life in general and hockey. And at the end, he's like, "Hey man, like this is aren't you preparing something a little crazy right now?" And I was like, and I wasn't ready to share that with anyone. I was like, no, he knew that, but he put me on the spot because he knew that I needed to get it out. And I was like, yeah, you're right. I guess it's time for me to say it. And I had no idea what I was doing. Like that was still just an idea, and I had no idea I was going to get it done. It was just crazy. And a couple weeks later, one of my friends, Melanie, she reaches out to me and she's like, hey, I listened to that episode and it was really good. Like I had no idea your story was like this, and I didn't know you went through this either. So it's really inspiring, blah, blah. And she said, I want to help you. And I'm like, oh, well, I really appreciate you. Thank you. She reaches back out to me a week later. She's like, hey, one of my best friend's brother is a movie producer out of Los Angeles in California. And I've been texting him about you. I've been telling him your story. He needs to give you a chance. And for like a couple of weeks, she was really persistent with him. And eventually Ryan Delaney, the movie producer, reached out and was like, hey, like, you know, Melanie is my sister's best friend. She's been telling me all about you. She's insisted on me to, you know, talk to you. So here's your chance, blah, blah, blah. So I told him, he's like, well, this is really cool what you want to do. Your story sounds great, but I need you to put a video together to explain your story and share your vision with everyone. And that's when my friend Mike helped me out. And here we are now. We're working with two movie producers, Ryan Delaney and Jennifer Cox, who want to make a documentary out of this whole journey and a movie, and helping with all the logistics, the sponsors, building the team. Like we have weekly calls with them now. It's amazing. I mean, and you know, as much as I want this journey to raise funds and awareness for the disease, I also want this journey to show people that when you do have an idea and you go for it and you take that first step and you get started, you can, like, it sounds so cliche and I hate saying this, but it's true. It's so true. Like when you decide that you want to do something and you put your all into it, you'd be surprised with what you could accomplish. And that's what this journey showed me. And it's also showed me that you can connect with people still nowadays. It's possible. Like, yeah, like you often hear people say, oh, people suck. People don't suck that much. We just don't take the time to talk to them.
Right.
For all these sponsors I've gotten, like for that TB12 one, for example, I was in Boston and I just walked into the store and I went up to the manager and I was like, hey, my name's Louis Chaix. I'm going to rollerblade across the States. I'm looking for sponsors and for people to believe in my journey. And surely enough, we ended up talking for an hour and a half. And the next day I was on a phone call to get everything set up. It's crazy when you take the chance. Like, and sometimes people look at me like I'm an alien, like, oh yeah, but I could never do this. And I hate when people tell me, I wish I could do something like you're doing. Well, you can. You really can. And that's what I want this journey to show people, is that I'm just a college kid with no financial resources, just like wanting to do something in my life. And I've been fortunate enough to meet some amazing people to help me along the way. And, you know, opportunities like this too, to connect, because at the end of the day, it's really cool to be able to, you know, a year ago almost, you said, hey man, what you're doing is really cool. We're going to hop on a podcast once we get closer to you getting started. Super excited. And here we are. And to me, that means a lot, because I'm really big on do the things you say you're going to do, you know, and that accountability and that truth in what you said is really cool, because, you know, here we are and it's a year later and I don't know, it's pretty sweet.
Yeah, man, it's awesome. First off, it sounds like you got a good friend, like you went on the podcast that kind of gave you that initial push, because like I feel like that's what you need sometimes, to just be like, all right, here, I gotta just tell my story. I gotta get it out there. And I put up that video that you saw last week, and I was talking to one of my other buddies, and we were both kind of like, you can always keep the video in your drafts and not post it, or you can always, for his case, like, not quit the job that you don't like, but there's never going to be a better time than right now. And then it's almost like what it sounds like to you. It's everything kind of opened up as soon as you started telling your story, and people just gravitated towards you, sponsors, your friend Emily, the producers, like everybody just wants to help. And as long as you go through life like you are, with like a genuine purpose and a genuine like willingness to do the right thing, help, and have a cool idea, and you clearly have the passion behind it. You're calling Vanderbilt for 3 weeks without getting an answer. Like, you want to do this. People are attracted to that, gravitate towards that kind of character. It's pretty awesome to see. And it's an awesome message what you say about just like everybody doing, and anyone can do this kind of stuff as long as
and like you also, oh my voice is gone. You have to break it down too, like, and I see it a lot with my training right now. I'm on my 3rd week of training, because I wanted to start training earlier for this, but it was going to interfere too much with my hockey season, so I just waited a little bit. And with a goal like this of rollerblading 4,500 miles, it's like I rollerblade 15 miles today and I'm tired.
Yeah.
It's just, and so, that's why you really have to be patient. You have to have that end goal and that really big goal, but then I think it's really important to just break it down and be honest too with the work that you put in. And sometimes there was like 1 or 2 weeks where things weren't moving, and then I sit there at my desk and I'm like, okay, but what have you done for it to move? And then all of a sudden you put a little bit of effort and like 5 different things click, and you're like, oh wow, things are moving really fast. So you're being consistent and believing in what you're doing. At first, I was like, I was scared to put it out there because I didn't want to hear people tell me no. And but then at some point I was like, I needed to get it out for myself, because I like I was talking about, I'm big on saying I'm going to do something. So then I actually have to do it. Nobody, like, who am I now? Oh yeah, sorry guys, I'm not doing that. I've been saying it for the past year and a half. No, sorry, that's impossible. I could never do that. So really having my friend Dan, he's my trainer now, and I really believe in him, and he's believed in me too. And I think our relationship is very special in that sense, because we always push each other. We're very similar. And as much as I hated him on the moment, because I was like, oh my God, like, now it's official. And I really had no idea how I was going to get that going. And another thing too, you said, if not now, then when? I was always wondering when was the right time for me to do it. And then I was like, yeah, but you know what? There's always going to be something. It's never going to be the right time. It's never, conditions are never going to be perfect. So at some point, you just got to put your foot down and be like, hey, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do in my life. We're doing it now, and we're going for it. So yeah, I definitely agree with what you're saying.
Yeah, and it's cool too to like take the goal and break it down into smaller chunks. 4,500 miles sounds crazy, sounds wild, but 15 miles sounds manageable. I mean, what's just because I had the hockey in me and the curiosity, what's your game plan, or how many days and how many miles per day are you estimating right now?
So I started my training 3 weeks ago now. It's very different from what the efforts I'm used to, because hockey is a lot of strength and power and fast sprints, whereas this is just more monotone, hours on hours on hours. So ideally, I would like to do 60 miles a day. I might hit a wall and do way less or way more, but I'd like to do 60 miles every day. And I'd like the journey to take me about 60 days. again, it's tricky because when you're filming a movie, you're on the set and everything is staged and you know exactly what you're doing. When you're doing a documentary or an experience like this, you have no idea what's going to happen. Like today, I knew I was going on a trail, but I still ended up getting lost at the end, and it took me like a whole detour, and I ended up going downhill like 37 miles per hour. I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't prepared. So it's one of those things too where I don't want it to take too long, but I also don't want to go too fast because the main purpose of doing this is to raise awareness and connect with people and survivors and families and other people that are interested in the journey that that needed that to hear what I'm doing with this to get their first step for their projects and their dreams. So I really don't the focus about this is more so connecting with people and having a positive impact rather than doing it in a certain time frame and beating records. Now
Yeah, it's not a race.
I'm a competitor and I'm an athlete, so I told the producers, hey, if we can figure out any world records to break, let's do it.
Yeah.
But I just don't I want to do it for the right reasons, and I really think that's another thing when you're setting up a goal like this for yourself, as long as you do it for the right reasons and you really stay true to that the whole way, I think that things will take care of it on their own, of itself on their own. Yeah, like I often say it's not about me skating. I'm using what I do, one of the things I do best, to put light on this disease and give people answers because I don't know what caused my disease. We don't know exactly because they did the testing too late. So now I live my life. I can't take any medication. I only take Tylenol. So I can't take any anti-inflammatory medication. My skin is very, very sensitive in the sun, so I got to be careful with that. I'm more prone to get a skin cancer eventually. So it's just like, okay, well, how can I have a positive impact on this whole community, in this whole world around the disease using, I'm fortunate that I survived and on top of that, survived without any side effects. A lot of people that survive this disease, they're blind. I was supposed to be blind. Some people are missing a limb. Some people have flare-ups. Some people are in the hospital every other week. Some people, it's crazy what it does. And I'm just here. So I felt some sort of survivor's guilt. Even though I didn't steal anything from anyone, I fought really hard to be alive and to be where I'm at today. I was still feeling like, okay, how is it that I get to live my life and pursue my dreams when so many people are in this situation that I was in and they're in the hospital and they don't have answers and they're hurting and they have to deal with all these things or they have to deal with the pain of losing one of their loved ones. Well, I get to do all this. So then I was like, well, let's go. I was in my shower and I was like, hey, we're going to rollerblade across the States, and took it one day at a time. And here we are.
Yeah, that's incredible, man. I love that. And so people can donate to your page 10 for 10, and all of does all of the money, I guess, it all goes towards research?
Yes. So for right now, we have the page set up through Vanderbilt University, and this will all go towards research in the research center. We are currently working on establishing a plan to have a fundraising page for the journey itself.
Cool.
We're really trying to figure out what's the best way to do this, because I know the producers are also looking for investors and stuff. So we're taking it one day at a time, but at least as of right now, we do have the link through Vanderbilt University where people can donate, and it goes towards research. And I mean, so many people have already made donations, and it's crazy to see because I haven't started skating yet. You see that people believe in you and what you're doing, and they want to get involved, and every single donation has been really appreciated, and the messages too, and even away from that, all the amount of people that have reached out and have been supportive. And something I had to learn to deal with was the negativity. Because when you're doing something good and you believe that you're doing something good, and
Seems
you know
crazy that someone would want to be
it
negative.
seems crazy that somebody would perceive it as something really negative and come at you. And it really caught me off guard that one night. It was actually on TikTok. I put a little video in front of my map where I said like, when rollerblading around campus with your friends turns into deciding to rollerblade across the states. And some guy, because there's a couple of celebrities now that have done that. They ran across the US, and then there's this guy, Bear Son. He walked across America in this giant bear suit.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. I know about Mike Posner.
And Mike Posner did that too.
Yeah.
And so this guy on TikTok's like, hey, oh, you're just copying what this guy did for clout. And I was behind my phone after practice, and I got so fired up, and I was like, why? And I'm very calm, and usually, like even on the ice, I can really, when people say stuff to me, I can just let it go. But this one, I really took it personal, and I was like, because it was the first one, maybe I don't know, and I was like, what? How can you? I just had a hard time comprehending, like, why can you be negative, and why would you take time out of your day to? I don't know, and it's a learning curve. And
That guy's going through his own stuff. He's got his own problems, and he was taking.
And I
it
was
out
like,
on
you know what, whatever. You better laugh about it in the end. And it was a cool. I'm glad it happened, because now it's just like a good learning experience, and that's what's been so great about this. You know, I've played hockey all my life, and I don't want to do anything else other than playing hockey. But being able to have this project allows me to see completely different things in life, and it's taught me a lot of things about myself, and also had me try things I'd never done before. So it's been pretty sweet, and I really encourage everybody, or I hope that everybody gets to just try new things like that and see another side of themselves.
Yeah, totally. And I'm gonna link that fundraiser in the description for everyone. But
thank you.
So you've been kind of talking about the vulnerability, about sharing this idea out loud to people on the podcast, and kind of having this I can't really back out now, and how that was challenging at first. But have up until that point that you decided to use this idea to kind of share your story and raise awareness for your disease, were you open and writing or talking, or did a lot of people know that you went through and survived this rare skin condition?
I've never had any problem talking about it, because I'm proud of what I went through. Even, I want to go through it again? Absolutely not. But I'm glad I did go through it, because it changed my perspective on life early on. When you're 6 years old and you have a near-death experience, you don't really know what death is like. I mean, but you don't know what it means. And I guess I was just like, after I survived, my goal, well, even before I got sick, my goal was to play hockey in North America. And I think that being sick really allowed me to shift my mind from what was playing hockey really helped me shift my mind from what was happening to me and focus on the long term. And I was like, I want to play in the US or in Canada. And once I get through this, I will do it. I'm going to do it. And that really helped me just, take it one day at a time. And I never had any issues talking about my disease. Sometimes people see my cheeks, because these are the main scars I have left. I have here, and then on my shins, you can't really tell. And people are like, oh, like, I like your freckles, or I like, oh, your cheeks are so rosy today. And I never take it like, oh, no, they're not freckles. I don't get upset. Yeah. People don't know. I mean, you can't really tell. And I'm just like, no, actually, they're scars, and they're from a skin disease I had when I was younger. And then I get to talk about it. Never really had any trouble talking about it. I think it's good to be able to show people that, because a lot of people have told me, I would have never guessed. Like, when we look at you, we see how outgoing you are, we see how happy you are all the time. Like, we would never guess. And then in those times, I'm like, well, yeah, that's why we don't know what people are going through around us. Like, it doesn't cost anything to be a good person in and hold the door, say hi, or give a smile. Like, you can't guess people's stories, and everyone has a story. That's something I've learned through this, is like I've connected with so many people, and I think we forget that everybody lives life. Like, we all live life, and we all experience different things. And I get pretty, not frustrated, not upset, but kind of like, people come up to me and they're like, "Oh, I can't imagine what you've been through. I've never been through anything like you have." And I'm like, "Okay, but I'm sure you've been through stuff that I've never been through, and it's probably been
Right.
just as hard, but in different levels, in different ways." So a lot of people don't give it themselves enough credit, including myself,
Yeah.
and I'm sure you can relate to that. We've all overcome a lot of different things on different levels, and like, it's good sometimes, to give ourselves a little tap on the back and be like, "Hey, like, breathe for a second. Look at what you're doing. Look at what you've done. Look how far you've come too." I mean, I heard a bit about your story, and I'm curious to hear more about it, because I think my big brother went through something a little similar. That's why I really want to hear your story, because
Yeah.
I'm very curious.
Yeah. I mean, I
Well,
was,
if you don't mind
what's
sharing.
that?
If you don't mind sharing, of course. I'm sure you
Oh,
already.
no, of course. That's what this podcast is all about, man.
Cool.
Yeah. I mean, I basically was 19, had just finished up my freshman year of college, and, was drinking and smoking, and kind of just, I probably, looking back on it, had a little bit of depression that I was masking, or
Mhm.
just like uncertainty of being 19 and confused with the fact that I wasn't really certain on my major and didn't know what I really wanted to do with my life. And uh, but then also just like justifying all of that as like, oh, it's my freshman year, everyone's binge drinking, I'm on the hockey and lacrosse team, like all these guys are doing the same stuff. um,
Yeah.
but so kind of doing a lot of that. And then I ran into some synthetic marijuana that my friends and I just bought at a gas station because it was legal in 2011. And it just really didn't sit well with me at all. I became manic and was in like a drug induced psychosis. So I just knew something was wrong with me. So I went and like told my parents and checked myself into the hospital, and they didn't know what it was at the time. So they decided to, have me stay over in the mental health hospital, and pretty much snowed me with a bunch of different medications to like put the fire out, as they were saying.
Yeah.
Um, which, looking back, I'm not sure what was the best approach, or,
Yeah.
but a lot of the medications were like really heavy and really, just caused a lot.
Yeah.
So some time in there, and then getting out and being 19, and um, having to leave school that semester, or I was right about to go back to my sophomore year. So it was like just a lot of depression and anxiety over the
Yeah.
years of not feeling like knowing I shouldn't drink and smoke, but then feeling like I wanted to because everybody else was, and that's what my friends were doing at the time.
Yeah.
So confusion with that. But basically over the years, a lot of depression, anxiety, and seeing different doctors trying to figure out myself, and then regain my confidence. And it wasn't really until 2016 that I came up with the idea for this, which is, let's chat about it. At first, I thought it was going to be some kind of like Facebook like tech platform, but it's morphed into this. But similar experience with you, it's like the act of starting a business or starting an idea and pitching the idea was like really healing for me, to use that as like the vessel to tell my story with. So I'm sure you can somewhat relate to that.
100%.
But
And
that's
so, like,
yeah.
hearing your story, my big brother, when he was 19 as well, he was a huge smoker, would smoke a lot, and it eventually triggered schizophrenia in his brain, and he
No
was
way.
hospitalized for 3 years in a psychiatric hospital. He had his life set up. I mean, he had an engineering degree. You know, he's the smartest person I know, the kindest person I know, but he, you know, ran maybe into the same issue as you did. I was too young, so I don't know. But turns out it triggered schizophrenia, and that's something he's got to deal with for the rest of his life now. So, you know, it's hearing your story is just I know, like I understand it, and I can connect to it because I've witnessed it from the outside, because I knew my big brother before he
Yeah.
became schizophrenic, and after, and I saw what it could do to somebody, what drugs could do to someone, and
Hmm.
somewhere it's a blessing because I always stayed away from it for myself because I knew
Right.
damages it could do, but also because I would have felt very hypocritical if I was to smoke after my brother had to deal with that stuff. And so yeah, I can definitely see, and it's crazy to me, like, you know, even though what my brother had and what you had is a little different, to see that you're able to build yourself and build all this is amazing. So you should really be proud of yourself, and I hope, you know, it gives you all the confidence in the world because, dude, what
Yeah.
you is what you've been through is not something light, and I mean, it takes a certain force and certain character to be able to put your foot down and forward and use what you've been through to have a good impact on everybody else and connect with other people. So congrats,
Thank
brother.
you.
Hell
Yeah,
yeah.
thank you. I'm so sorry to hear that happened to your brother and what he's going through. That's really terrible.
Yeah. But you know, it's something that it is what it is, and I could be upset, and I could,
Mhm.
you know, be focused on all the negative, but at the end of the day, my brother's here and he's alive, and you know, we love him just as much. It's, of course, you never want to see your loved ones go through that stuff, but you know, I ever since I was sick when I was younger, focusing on the positives is a
Yeah.
big thing, and it goes for any aspects in life, whether it's, you know, your shitty little stuff that you get in your everyday life, or those major events. Just
Mhm.
remaining positive, and it's just,
Yeah.
you know, one day at a time. Keep going
Right.
forward, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people that smoked the stuff I did and didn't make it out. So it's nice to focus on that.
Yeah,
And same with you and your brother.
for sure.
I wasn't expecting that. Jeez.
No, you're good. You're good. Take your time. I mean, and I knew because I kind of listened to the other videos the other day, so
Hmm.
I didn't mean to just throw that on you, but I was.
No, it's all right. I just
That's why I really wanted to hear your story, because I felt like we already connected pretty well, and then I heard all that stuff, and I was actually curious. I was like, hey, like I want to know more about this because I can relate in different ways to like your story, so
yeah.
it makes it even more special.
Yeah, I mean, food and exercise was a big thing for me. Like my mom dove really hard into functional medicine and health coaching and Mark Hyman's nutritional stuff. And I felt like that definitely helped me on like the tail end of what I was going through, like fully get out of that and help my mental state. And I know that's something you're passionate about and you put out content around.
Yeah.
You
And I
know,
really believe in that because living in the States versus France, you know, in the US, people are very vocal about mental health and anxiety and depression and all sorts of things. In France, it's not really like that. Um,
you think
like,
we're vocal here compared to France?
oh, yeah. Like,
I mean,
yeah.
it's been way more lately, but yeah,
Yeah. And again, it's nowhere near where it should be
right.
here. So imagine in France. In France, it's
Yeah.
just not really like we are aware it exists, anxiety and all that, but it's not really a thing, I
Mm.
guess, or not as much as it is here. And what makes me very upset sometimes for my friends and people around me, although I'm glad that medication can help in those situations, I feel like sometimes medication is the right answer too quick.
Mhm. Yeah,
To
it could
me,
be a band-aid.
it's very frustrating for me when I see my friends or people I care about that are affected by anxiety and stuff, that the first thing that they're told is, here, take this medicine. And
Mhm.
you're not feeling good today? Well, you didn't take your medicine. That's why.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just want to grab him by the hand and be like, hey, let's go for a walk. Let's cook you a nice meal. Let's get you
Mhm.
moving. Instead of having you lay in your bed all day. Might be all you want to do, and that might be what helps, and that's okay too. But I just think it's so frustrating when we tell these people that need help, and sometimes I feel like the help they don't get is so small. It could be so small. It could be just little things, taking a walk, having a nice meal, exercising, spending time around people they care about. I don't know. It's just like, I want to. I don't know.
No, you nailed it, man. I mean, that's there's all mental illnesses and things have a time and place, and medications is great for certain circumstances, but like it's almost like if you just before you took an antidepressant, if you just took a week and you reshaped exactly what you ate and you
Yeah,
got out in nature and you got sunlight on your face and you got your heart rate up and you
and got a good conversation with
yeah,
someone too. Like a
exactly.
lot of people don't get that. Back to what you asked me in the beginning was, what do you do when you don't feel good or you get in your head? Well, I turn back towards the people I know I can trust, and I'm like, hey, can you call me today? I need to talk. And sometimes it's so small, and sometimes even just talking about it, sometimes I'm like, dude, this sounds so stupid now that you're saying it out loud. And even just that helps you just get it out of your brain, and you're like, okay, like I said what I had to say. Now I realize that I shouldn't be that upset about it. It sounds dumb.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, it
then
just takes that one
just
extra
knowing that,
hmm.
and I guess sometimes it's hard because you feel like, okay, nobody wants to listen to what I have to say. No one's, everybody has their problems to deal with. But if you have that support system around you and able to recognize it, I think that everyone should take advantage of it. And just like I tell my friends, I want you to call me, even if like you're having a shitty day for the smallest reason and you need to talk, throw it my way. Well, I think it's really important, and people care. Like people care. And we got to
Yeah.
stop thinking that everybody around us is so mean and that people suck. You just got to take the time to listen. And when you take the time to listen to people around you, it opens up so many doors.
Yeah, I mean, I think what you just said, especially from a friend standpoint, I feel like that's hard to do sometimes, or maybe people aren't, especially guys our age, aren't really used to that conversation with their bros. Like,
Yeah.
how is it that you? I mean, like, if you want to really break it down, like you just kind of tell your friend in person, or you text them, and the guys on your hockey
Well,
team.
so it's not so much guys on my hockey team, and that ties right back to where you are. Like I have best friends, I have amazing friends on my hockey team, but the whole thing that you were saying when you went through that, oh, everybody's drinking, everybody's smoking, everybody's partying,
Mhm.
and that was the norm. That's what you had
Yeah.
to fit in. Well, the lifestyle between France and Europe and in the US in terms of alcohol and partying is very different. The way a 15, 16-year-old is going to behave in Europe with alcohol is how a 21, 23, that whole range
Wow.
of age behaves. So all that stuff, like I'm the first one. I like having a good time. I like partying, like everybody does, right?
Mhm.
But I've seen all that stuff. So now that I have to focus on, or that I get to focus on, being healthy and maintaining a certain lifestyle in terms of training and nutrition and not partying all the time, it's hard for me sometimes to connect with people my age around here, especially in school, because I
Hmm.
guess that's the norm. That's what everybody's doing. So I've always been closer to people older than me. Like my best friend Dan is 2, 3 years older than me. My best friend Josh is like 5 years older than me. So it's just, sometimes you got to dig a little deeper. I'm very close to my family. I talk to my family a lot. Sometimes you just got to scratch the surface a little bit and not be scared to. It's okay to meet people out of your circle. I'm an athlete. I play hockey. it's okay for me to talk to somebody who's not an athlete and likes maybe to just read books all day.
Yeah.
Like, often people separate themselves from others just because of the social environment they're in, and I think it's so bad. It's so stupid. Like, it's a reflex we have, and that's all we know. You know, in high school, you hang out with your teammates, and each team hangs out with each team. But
Yeah.
then when you get to talk to people that are out of your environment, you're like, oh, I'm missing out on a lot of things.
Mhm.
So just being open to conversation, and I think you could surprise yourself with some great friendships along the way, and building a good support system. I mean, on my CrossFit gym here, I'm friends with a guy. He's 62 years old. He's a beast. He beats me every other week in a workout. Like, it's just funny how that all works. And you know, tomorrow I can call him and be like, hey, I need your advice on something. Let's grab a bite to eat. And so
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's almost like, for me at least, when I got sober and more honest with myself and started, becoming more passionate about things and living a smaller circle or a simpler life, it's like by having those less number of relationships, or like being more vulnerable about like my story and what I went through, like my relationships got stronger.
yeah, like, my circle is very small. My really close. I know a lot of people. I get along with everybody. Well, no, that's not true. I don't get along with everybody. I always say, if you get along with everybody, you're hypocritical somewhere. It's okay. You know, you can't work out with everybody. You can't enjoy, and not everybody can like you. It's fine. But I think it's, yeah, like, you just gotta be vulnerable. And when you're vulnerable, it's terrifying. Believe it or not, I used to hate social media.
Really?
Like,
Yeah, you don't
let's
seem like it now. You're pretty
let's
good
say
at
I hate it. 2 years ago, I would not post a photo of me because I felt so vulnerable. I felt like people would get so much power over me that it would just freak me out, and I hated it. And that was caused by life and, you know, relationships and all that stuff. And I don't know. To me, social media was this big monster. And then when I started doing this whole thing, and trying to be more vulnerable, because I was like, hey, you have a story to tell, and people could probably get something out of you being vulnerable. So let's go, let's do it. And eventually I was like, well, maybe I can use social media to have a positive impact, and you know, share more of my perspective, because I like seeing a nice post with like a good caption, and some good words to help me get through my day. Or and I was like, well, if you can do it for yourself, because it helps me too sometimes. When, you know, I said I like to write, sometimes typing things out is just keeps me grounded. And yeah, to see how far I've come is crazy. Like, I I'm telling you, I would not post a photo of, like, if you look on my Instagram, let me check. If I look on my Instagram, um I think my before I started posting a bunch of photos, my very last one that I posted was like maybe a year or two apart. Which is crazy because now I post like every other day, almost every day.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty of it too, like being able to be honest with yourself, and just letting go of the things that don't really matter allows you to move forward, and do good things for you and for people around you. Yeah, so that's 2019. The other one was 2018. Yeah, it was crazy. Like, but that's the beauty of it. That's something I look back onto, and I'm proud of. You know, just like you should be proud of how far you've come. It's
Um,
we all go through different things, and when we start being honest with ourselves and really listen to ourselves and how we feel, and we connect and focus on the right things, then it makes it easier for everybody to just, you know, have a positive impact, and do good things. It's easier.
right on, man. Well, as we wrap up here, you're gonna be, I'm flashing your social media
Oh,
handles
there
for
you
everybody who wants to follow along on your journey. Is it well, here, let me just finish this out. It's
Yeah.
Louis Chaix on Instagram and TikTok.
Yeah.
That's LouisChaix.
Yeah, that's right. That's me.
And and what do you think? You're starting in this May or June, or what's the
June.
plan?
So I was supposed to graduate in May, but I guess all my credits got messed up when I transferred, and they just told me that a couple of weeks ago that I couldn't graduate anymore in May, and that I potentially have at least another semester or a whole year of school. So
No.
it's terrible.
Wow. I'm sorry,
So
man.
yeah, it's brutal. I'm trying to figure it out, but it's just when you keep
I
it
know
going.
that struggle. I know that struggle all too well with looking at courses and being like, all right, if I take 4 here, I can take 3. And
I'm taking like 18 credit hours right now, I think. I'm
jeez,
getting on top of hockey and this whole I'm getting destroyed. I'm just trying to finish, but they're not letting me finish. So um
yikes.
so yeah, I'm gonna start. We haven't decided the date yet, but within the first 2 weeks of June is when I'm hoping to start.
Nice. So June, and then like 60 days, that'll take you halfway through August or something, right?
Yeah, and so I'm going from LA, then through Vegas, Grand Canyon, Albuquerque, I think, OKC, Springfield, St. Louis, and then it's either Indianapolis or Columbus. Wait, hold on. I never remember.
Yeah, we got to figure out what leg I'm going to do with you.
Yeah. So where are you at right now?
I'm in Nashville. So if you
Oh,
come
yeah.
to
Okay.
Vanderbilt,
Cool.
right down the
All right.
road from Vanderbilt.
All right. Yeah. Well, so I was for our formal last year. I went to Nashville, and I didn't realize until the day I was leaving that Vanderbilt was there. But I think we're coming back. I think we're coming back in April sometime. So I'll definitely
Yeah.
stop by and see you.
Nice. I got my blades here, so we'll go on a
Perfect.
nice
We'll
little
go for a
road.
couple miles.
Yeah. Cool, man. Well, is there anything else you want to say regarding mental health or your journey? I'm going to link the description and people can follow you this summer, but really
Well, I
appreciate you coming
appreciate
on.
you, and thank you so much. You really stuck to your word, and that means a lot. I was very excited since we first spoke last year, and to be able to connect with you and get to know your story better too was great. So I hope we can connect with even more people with this journey. I hope you'll join for some miles as well, and
For sure.
we'll have to do another episode once I get finished.
Yes, dude. Yeah, for sure. That's a great idea. Or during, we'll do a live. I'll
Yeah,
be
perfect. Do a
rollerblading
little
next to you
live.
going live.
Perfect. That works out.
Awesome. Well, everybody go check out 10 for 10 Louis Chaix rollerblading across America and donate to his fundraiser through Vanderbilt Health. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Thank you.
All right, man. Yeah, we can stay on for a sec. I'll just end the recording here.